From the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers look to end a 4-game skid as they start a 7-game homestand tonight, hosting the Knicks. 7 o'clock tip on KUNP 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. DeAndre Ayton is out. Jeremy Grant doubtful. Robert Williams III is questionable, as is Matisse Thybulle, who will reportedly be in uniform for the first time this season. The Blazers are 4-point underdogs. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reporting the Seahawks signing Marquez Valdez-Scantling to a 1-year deal worth up to $5.5 million. Pelissero also reporting the Commanders bringing back former Oregon quarterback Marcus Mariota on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Pelissero also reporting the Rams have told wide receiver Cooper Kupp he will be released today, freeing up $7.5 million in cap space. The Chargers re-signing former Oregon linebacker Troy Dye to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal that could be worth as much as $8.5 million. Yahoo Sports' Charles Robinson reporting the Falcons expected to keep quarterback Kirk Cousins through Sunday's deadline and pay him the $10 million he is due. Fox Sports reporting the Steelers signing Eagles running back Kenneth Gainwell to a 1-year deal after losing Najee Harris to the Chargers. ESPN's Field Yates reporting the Chiefs restructuring the contracts of quarterback Patrick Mahomes and defensive tackle Chris Jones, freeing up nearly $49.5 million in cap space. And the Bills announced they've re-signed safety Damar Hamlin to a 1-year contract. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie?
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon! Hey, welcome in. Happy Wrestling Wednesday. Danny and Dusty with you on this 12th of March. March 12th.
Is that special?
Nope.
Oh, okay. You said it with some emphasis.
No. Nope.
We said on this March 12th as opposed to that other
The other
March
one.
12th.
Yeah. Like this one is different. Look, I have an issue, and we can't be the only workspace that has this going on.
That sounds pretty open-ended, but we know you got issues.
Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you how annoying it is to get your inbox lit up by somebody sending a mass email
Deal with?
that does not pertain to you at all.
Anybody.
And then it's a complete mistake. That's not the person that I have the issue with.
No, and I know exactly what you're talking about here.
It is every single person across the great land of the United States of America that responded to this email it was a mistake. It was a mistake, total mistake by Megan, who sent out an email saying, hey, can we put so-and-so and again, give them access to something that I didn't even know I had access to. Don't know what it is, to be quite frank. But it's like, here's her email, thank you. And then all day long, all I have received is emails, something to the tune of, I'm not sure I'm the right person for this email. I'm in promotions in New Orleans. And then please disregard. Same here. I'm in sales in Philadelphia. Not me either. Sorry, Megan. Oh my God. You don't need to send that email.
If you're the person, just be the person, and otherwise delete it and ignore it.
Well,
just
or
ignore
just reply
it.
and don't reply all.
Yeah. And you know what's even worse? The person who's like, hey, stop replying because there's 800 of you that are all saying the same damn thing.
I'm so glad I'm not on this email.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't get this one. I was like, I didn't see that.
And then there's a separate email And all it says is, everyone, please stop replying. She sent the email in error to everyone. It's like, do we really need to go through this?
Very
And
clearly you do, because you have idiots that are replying.
this happens, I'll say, like once or twice a year. Once or twice a year, Odyssey just goes bonkers on an all-reply email chain.
Well, this is why we can't have nice things, and this is why we have to get the IT training, and why you shouldn't try to reply to the email from the prince.
And
But
if
I
you
do
can't
this-
figure out how to not reply all, Tommy will come back there and bang you over the head with a tack hammer
Yeah.
because you're challenged.
This is... We can't be the only place that goes through this, right?
Oh, no.
That is like up there with like some of the most, infuriating workplace. Not really that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. Truly. Because all it is just a bunch of emails that are coming through, right? And they likely go unread. But I don't know if I'm the only person like this. I'm sure a lot of people are. Where all of a sudden you look down on your phone and your emails go from like 50 to 130 and you're like, where did this come from? What happened now? And it's Megan sent the wrong email. And everybody just decided, yep, I'm going to reply to this one today. Golly.
It's nasty work.
Like that's far less than having to like find a parking spot. You had to drive around, find a parking spot. That's very frustrating.
Today wasn't as bad as it has been.
Oh, when
No.
I got in, it was.
Yeah. This one coming in on the fan text line. It's called a reply apocalypse.
Yes.
Dusty, give me the get here earlier. I got stuck by a train. I was stuck in the stupid thing for 20 minutes.
If you get stuck by a train enough times, maybe we leave a little earlier because the train comes by at around the same time.
Mom and Dad, stop fighting.
Brutal, man. I don't want to leave 2 hours early.
Just 5 minutes.
And the thing is, you don't know. Like, so the other day, when you were out on Friday, I actually did leave early, and I'm like, screw it, I'm going to go out the back way and like really get in there early because Will was filling in.
Yeah.
I got hit by the train crossing the tracks on the south side, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Dang, man.
Like,
Times are tough.
Well, it's just there's
A lot of train traffic in your neck of the woods.
There is. Like, there's the trains like bisect every route that I could possibly take.
Everything in Newburgh is 2 blocks from his house.
And a train.
And a train.
There's a train. It's actually just like, it just circles you.
It just circles Newburgh.
Yeah. And it's just like, when's Danny leaving? Yep, we'll park it.
It's like a scene from the Truman Show.
It just like goes through a tunnel where you think it leaves, but it's actually just going out the other end.
Oh,
yeah, no,
man.
it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Oh, I work in the second largest school district in the state. This happens often, and it's hilarious.
It used to happen in the military, but you would literally have leaders who would offer like literal letters of counseling.
Well,
If you were doing this because you were failing to live up to standards.
I figured it would happen less in the military because you would be more likely to get the code red.
No, when that kind of
Mountain
stuff.
Dew?
Yeah.
No, I mean there's plenty of that,
No.
but no.
Two good men.
Yeah.
Anyone? You
Yeah.
want me on that wall.
Yeah. No, I got you.
You need me on that wall.
Look, they don't do wall-to-wall counseling like they used to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they will hand out paperwork for very stupid things like that.
There we go.
Yeah, you put a reply all that has a 3-star general on it, you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear about that. Like that's 100% going to happen.
with another email that says, "What is your major malfunction, Private Pile?"
It's usually you're going to hear about it from your NCO, then you're going to hear about it from your flight supervisor, then you're going to hear about it from your commander or the XO, and then you're going to hear about it from the wing commander, let alone that general or their XO takes time to also counsel you.
Yeah.
Trust me, I watched a guy do it. I just sat there like, oh, you're going to have a really long day.
Not today, brother. I just want to reply all now. What's everybody up to today? What do we
Just
got
go
going?
full the dude abides.
How's everybody doing?
Hey, did I miss anything?
How's lunch?
Like, just start throwing in some icebreakers in there. Where's everybody from? Roll call. Huh? What do you have for lunch today?
Unbelievable.
Y'all
Y'all want to buy some drugs?
Oh yeah, sure, Russ. You could go and sell drugs on to everybody in the company,
I mean,
or I guess everybody
on that email chain at least.
who's on that email chain.
I'm just like I said. I'm just glad I'm not on that email chain.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering why you're not on that damn email chain.
You know what? Russ, do you have it?
He got it.
Oh yeah, I got it.
I think it's probably because you have producer ties. You got tagged in some group.
No, this is that. I've eliminated that because I've already got sales promotions on. Like everybody's replying with their title in the company. So,
Well, I'm saying that the one that you were on though, like whatever group got tagged in there as part of that group.
On air is in there, buddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
so am I not on the distro list for on air? Love it.
Love
it.
You know what I'm happy of though. I've gone through all 11 billion emails here.
Just because it's time to become petty.
None are Portland.
Hey,
I guess I can say at least then you can use the Le'Veon Bell defense. I didn't know.
You didn't know? Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
that many people hitting reply all too it's
Yeah, what are we doing?
that's a sickening state of affairs.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Cooley should celebrate that there's not a Portland person in there.
Oh my goodness.
What do we get? What do we get?
Well, we're smart up here in this pocket of the country.
Yeah.
We do have a Portland reply.
Oh,
no.
no.
Mhm.
Are we naming shaming?
I'm not going to do that.
What
no.
department?
Assistant janitor is what he has literally in his email tank. But we know who it is. He's on air for 94.7.
I've stopped getting all these now.
Mhm.
I only had a handful of responses. I'm not getting them anymore.
We got one, and he said unsubscribe. That was his reply was unsubscribe. Unsubscribe.
Look, if you're
Now we're getting the please remove me from this email chain.
if you're gonna be petty,
Oh,
that is the way to do it. Oh God, this is a total squirrel moment, but I just thought of something petty that I saw.
so bad.
I don't. There's no way to recover from this because my brain is gonna just go down this hill. There was a guy on I think it was
so pissed
TikTok
right
who the HOA
Yeah.
made him. They decided that trash cans are ugly. All the trash cans that we all have.
now. Oh yeah.
That if you were going to have them outside, which people that put their trash cans in their garage kind of weird me out. I don't know. That's just-
Wait, in their garage?
yeah. It's like
Yeah, mine are outside.
it's weird, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's trash. It stays outside.
I mean, unless you like really don't go in your garage.
sure,
Yeah.
but
But I mean, I don't want my garage stinking like that.
no, but that's what I mean. Like it's you don't. It's weird. Like even with I have a carport that's not even enclosed.
I will-
I still put
I'll counter this with or unless you live in the country.
because
in
you've
the
got critters,
In the country, you've
Yeah.
got to put it out
Yeah.
there because you're going to get
That makes sense.
possums, raccoons,
bears.
Yeah, like
You're gonna
that.
get them all out
That
there.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about just like this is an HOA.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have if you're gonna put them outside, you have to put a fence up. So he's like, I did the right thing and I put a fence up around the actual eyesore, my air conditioning unit that has been here because everyone's air conditioning unit is on the like faces the street. So if you can see the trash cans from the street, yeah, I know, very poor construction. All the houses were like that. He said, but he did the pettiest thing imaginable, and I was just like, this is incredible. So instead of putting a fence up around his trash cans, he put up a like 15-foot flagpole. But instead of putting a flag at the top of that pole, he put a bat house because bat sanctuaries are protected.
Oh.
So
all
you
right.
can't infringe on that area. And the HOA can't tell him to put it there because it's like a wildlife protected area, which they can't say anything or do anything against. So instead of doing that, he's
Batman.
yeah, and now he's got like
How do you get the Batmobile all the way up there?
well, he's got like a little tiny bat house that looks like a little Transylvania house at the top of like an 18-foot pole
Wow.
in front of his trash cans. And I was like,
It's a move.
that is you might as well just hang
move.
2 double barrels off
That's
the
a
end
move,
of that flagpole.
man.
And I was just like, that is incredible.
Speaking of HOAs, I saw a story a while back. This guy living in a town, whatever the HOA was mad at him for keeping his boat in his driveway.
Oh, he painted the fence.
So yeah, so he
to
put
look
it
like a
behind the
boat.
fence and he painted the fence to look like the boat was still sitting in
Yeah,
the driveway.
he's somebody who does like realism and paid like a fat amount of money to have it look like the boat was still there, and I was like,
Fantastic.
"Oh, that is awesome stuff."
I mean, you must really hate your neighbors if that's the case. You know, like, you must really despise those.
Why do you think I
neighbors.
keep my trash cans on that side of the
You know?
house?
Look, man, HOAs I will never, ever, ever be a part of, ever. But if I was, it would move to one of the ones where everyone's chill. As long as everybody's chill, nobody's really messing with anything. You're not doing anything outlandish.
You don't know until you're there.
Well, and the thing
Yeah,
is,
well, I
they're
think
not all
you-
the same. Some are just like, hey, you got to kick in a few bucks for like some front yard
Yeah, no,
maintenance
you,
and stuff.
you pay with the $200 a month, and
Yeah.
the yard crew comes through and makes sure everybody's yard looks good.
Yeah.
I'm cool with
That's
that.
fine.
That's totally like if you go out to Sherwood, that's the case in a lot of those neighborhoods. It's just like because if you go through like the main stretch on Sunset in Sherwood, all of it is very well kept. All the trees are kept, all of the grass along the sidewalks, very nice. But there's like purple houses and yellow houses like that very much stand out that would violate most like HOA standards for the anal retentive people.
Yeah.
But the people that want to live in those neighborhoods where it's the old fuddy-duddies that come over and like measure your grass or like hold the color shade up to your house, I don't know how people live like
My
that.
parents are in one of those.
Oh God,
I get it all the time.
I'd
Yeah.
murder somebody.
And everybody's a reply all.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's a reply all.
That's where they live. That's
Yeah.
where they live.
They're all reply alls.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
my HOA's not bad. I'm pretty sure our HOA president bullied her next door neighbor into being the vice president, though.
Mm.
Just to vote yes. Just be like, all right. You know, well, ours is not bad. We don't have ours isn't bad at all.
Everybody's chill, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, see, that's totally fine. But
Now they'll get you if you want to paint your house. We got to go earth tones. Got to go.
I'm not opposed to that because they're
Gotta go
like if
earth
you
tones.
look, I have a neighbor. They're incredibly nice. I'm not kidding when I say this. Their house is the color of Grimace.
Oh,
I don't care because it's out.
I don't like that.
I don't either. But it's whatever.
No, I'm not down with that.
There's man. Look,
See?
the house is very well kept.
Ooh,
They do all of the things like they're very active in the neighborhood. Like one of the nicest people you ever meet, has a big Christmas decorations come Christmas season. Just a jolly dude. And
yeah, don't paint your house like that. Though.
look, man, you own the land, you own the house. Do your thing.
I'm gonna egg it
Oh wow.
in my neighborhood.
Mm.
A grown man.
Ha! Why did you paint your house purple?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No, stop.
No,
Stop.
we got to get to that at some point in time.
Just stop. Just stop. We have a question that we will answer, and the Blazers get somebody back. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Back
All right, we've got a question coming up on the fan text line. Which fan personality would last the least amount of time in an HOA? It has to be Sukanik, right? Wrong. The man lives in an HOA. And has for several years. It's Danny, and it's not particularly close.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not.
Again, we're talking about like not like a chill
close at all.
HOA. We're talking about like the militant HOAs.
No, I don't. I'm going to say any. I'm going to say any. If the approval that you have to go through for, like, if you're painting your house, getting a new roof on your house, in our HOA, which is a chill one, you can't remove a tree because you have to have at least one tree in your yard, and any tree that you do remove from your front yard has got to be approved by the HOA.
Okay, yeah, no, I wouldn't do well.
Yeah. And ours is chill, but you just have to ask somebody for, like, everything.
Yeah, see that I can't abide that.
Yeah.
I'm freedom.
See, this is why it's you, and it's not close. Russ, do you have an HOA in your neighborhood?
We do not.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah. I think Rust would get feisty with you. I think both of you would. I don't think you would do well.
I wouldn't
in
put
the
up with
world
no
of the HOA.
guff.
So in my house hunting process, I put
Don't
down
take none.
23 offers before I got my house, and it was so crippling that I actually had the discussion.
Wait, you had 20? You put in 23 offers on homes?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's how bad it got, dude. I got beat almost every single time by 15% or more over asking with cash.
You needed a better realtor.
No,
Should have gone to Rust's wife.
Yeah.
no.
AgentRust@gmail.com.
You must be. You got.
Again,
when you come, you best come correct.
You gotta remember,
on
I
those
was house
homes.
hunting during COVID. It was
Well, I did. That's where we got our house. It
brother.
was awesome.
Yeah, no, not in the Wilsonville, Tualatin, Sherwood, Newburgh area. It was god awful. It was atrocious.
Mine was great.
We bought our house. It was 2002, right before Christmas. And the house that we eventually wound up buying, we'd been working with our realtor for probably 6 months or so. This was before my wife was a realtor. And we took a couple months break, and we came back, and he found it. He's like, hey, I think this is one. You should go check it out. So we go check it out, schedule a showing for the next day. We meet him. We write up an offer, and we're on our way to the bar because at that point I was, 26. And she was 23, and, we both still worked in the restaurants.
Wait, hold on. You're gonna act like it would change dramatically now?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm going to pee on your shoes and tell you that it's raining. So we go to celebrate, writing an offer on the house. Before we even get to the bar, he says, hey, turn around, come back. Somebody else put in an offer. We got to raise ours. So we went back and we upped it by like $1,500 and said, fine, we'll get our own refrigerator. And we got it.
There we go.
That was back in the day when $1,500 made a difference, though.
Yeah,
too.
again, I'm talking about 1,500 or 15% on
I mean, these days our house is probably
$500,000
going for
houses.
three and a half, 4 times what we paid for it.
That hurts when it's that much.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, you want me to? Oh, you want me to? And they're paying for the entire house in cash. That's
straight cash, homie.
everybody that came up from California during COVID just crushed it. But after that last one didn't go through, there was a townhome in West Lynn that was an HOA, and I talked to my wife, and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to just swallow my pride on this. Like,
I'm glad
we're
you
gonna have
didn't.
to do
I'm
this.
glad you didn't, because you'd be in jail.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would.
All right.
I would not do well. I'm very much a freedom man,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't do anything egregious to my house. It's all very
Yeah.
bland.
I think everybody else would fit the HOA world pretty well. Dirt and Sprague, Swag, Rop.
Rob probably would
Buck.
just
Yeah, I think everybody.
Zen status in that.
Oh, I don't know if he'd be Zen status. He'd tolerate it though.
Mm.
He likes Rop has a little bit of edge to him when people tell him no.
Yeah,
Yeah, doesn't like that. So,
I don't like to have to ask permission to do something to my house.
well,
I'm an
see,
adult.
this is why. You
Look,
wouldn't
but this
live
is
that
again.
life.
This is why I know this,
But
and
this
don't go down that path.
Yeah. And for me, it'd infuriate me more to live down the street from somebody with a purple house that I have to see every day. That would bother me more than being like every. I don't know. We haven't asked them for anything yet.
Oh, really?
No. I mean, no.
And speaking of which, outside of even HOAs, why is it that we have to get a permit to, like, say, replace a water heater
All right.
or a
We're not.
furnace or something?
Okay. We're not.
That's
going
just
there.
dumb.
Yeah. We're not going to go there. We can't.
Government red tape.
All right. Hey, Blazers are getting Matisse Thybulle back. How about that?
Hey, the artiste.
He was just like assigned to the remix a few days ago, and now
So
it's
that was
like,
just practice. So he didn't.
boom.
He didn't travel with the team.
Yeah.
And when the remix practice, when the team's out of town, they'll practice at the PF. And so he stayed behind and just went through live action with them.
I think he was placed there and then recalled in the same afternoon.
So the reason that happens is insurance.
Yeah.
They have to actually do the transaction to
Yeah.
make sure his insurance is covered. So
He ruptures his Achilles doing a workout on his own
Yeah.
without the team in the facility. Night. They
or
don't wanna deal
run
with
like
that.
if he just goes and runs with the remix without being assigned. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all just paperwork stuff.
Okay, so he's going to be back. He's listed as questionable, but he'll play.
I think he's going to go.
Okay.
I'm not. I'd say probably 75% certain that he's going to go.
Jeremy Grant.
I don't think Jeremy's going to go.
Mm.
Denny probably shouldn't.
Agreed.
Denny's a bit of a hypochondriac when you see him like get injured. Like he maybe oversells it, but he plays hurt. Like he's like you have to keep him out for his own good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's tough, man. Like he wants to play. He's got some real grit to him. But the interesting thing tonight, man, is the Knicks are coming to town and they don't have Jalen Brunson. And I don't know if there's a single player in the NBA, maybe other than Jokic, that means more to their team than Brunson. Like he is everything to them offensively, getting into their stuff. It's like they don't have another player that can get them into their stuff, dribble, pass, and shoot.
Back to what we talked about yesterday. These are the games you can't peel off at this point in the year. Like the head-to-heads with San Antonio and Chicago, who you're in the thick of it with.
You really need to drop those.
You need to drop those, but you can't peel off these ones.
Knicks are only 4-point favorites. They open at 3.5. They're at 4 now. That's a tighter line than I expected it to be because even though, yes, the Blazers are finally back home and they're home for 7 straight games, they're still kind of like they had a day off and now they're back at it again. The good news for them is that they get 3 days off. They get Thursday, Friday, Saturday off before they have the game Sunday.
Fan text line, can I nominate Matisse Thybulle for best hair in the NBA? Yeah, you can.
No, Matisse has incredible hair.
Yeah, you can nominate him for that.
Yeah. He got flow.
I mean, look, man, it matters.
It looked really good on Bill Walton night.
Yes,
It was very big.
yes.
Big hair.
Tice has got some natural style to him.
Yeah. All right. So Matisse Thybulle back for the Blazers. I mean, what condition his condition is in, no idea.
That's the thing is because it's been
we'll
lower body injury the whole year basically. So
Yeah.
it's just like it's not like he's out there, running. You can't simulate game action. But I hope he gets out there.
Play him 30 minutes.
Yeah, God, yeah, no, he's gonna if he plays, he's definitely gonna be on a minutes restriction.
Dang. All right. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Hey, a big name is going to be on the move in the National Football League. Cooper Kupp outright released. Where is he going to land? Danny Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers look to end a 4-game losing streak as they start a 7-game homestand tonight, hosting the Knicks. A 7 o'clock tip on KUNP. That is 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. DeAndre Ayton out, Jeremy Grant doubtful, Robert Williams the third questionable, as is Matisse Thybulle, who will reportedly be in uniform for the first time this season. The Blazers are 4-point underdogs. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reporting the Seahawks signing Marcus Valdez-Scantling to a 1-year deal worth up to $5.5 million. Pelissero also reporting the Commanders bringing back former Oregon quarterback Marcus Mariota on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Pelissero reporting again, the Rams have told wide receiver Cooper Kupp he will be released today, freeing up $7.5 million in cap space. The Chargers are re-signing former Oregon linebacker Troy Dye to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal that could be worth as much as $8.5 million. Yahoo Sports' Charles Robinson reporting the Falcons expected to keep quarterback Kirk Cousins through Sunday's deadline and pay him the $10 million, which he is due. Fox Sports reporting the Steelers signing Eagles running back Kenneth Gainwell to a 1-year deal. This after losing Najee Harris to the Chargers. ESPN's Field Yates reporting the Chiefs restructuring the contracts of Patrick Mahomes and defensive tackle Chris Jones. That frees up nearly $50 million in cap space, and the Bills announced they've re-signed safety DeMar Hamlin to a 1-year deal. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The ultimate basketball party, Fan Madness, is back. March 20th and 21st at the Stadium Sports Bar at A Sportsbook. More info at 1080thefan.com.
Rams tried to shop Cooper Kupp. We heard about this around Super Bowl time, that he announced, I'm going to be on the trade block. Still love the Rams, but I'm going to be out. And the Rams tried their best to find a taker, but nobody wanted to pick up the $20+ million on the 30-year-old, often injured now wide receiver Cooper Kupp, and they will cut him. There's a lot of, the NFL salary cap and how they designate these things, pre-June 1, post-June 1. Feels like they can cut the BS in that, right? Like, is there really that big of a designation? Because
we're going to release you today, but it's not actually going to happen until June 2nd.
Yeah, they can say, hey, we're releasing him with a post-June 1 designation. And so the same thing happens. Like, he can go and find a new team. He just can't sign a deal until June 2nd. They should get rid of that.
Yeah.
And what they should do is, because the reason why you would do it, a pre and post June 1 cut, is a pre-June 1 cut would mean that they have to, the Rams that is, have to pay the $20+ million that he is owed against the cap in 1 year.
22.2.
A post-June 1 designation means that they split it in half. So instead of creating $7.5 million in salary cap space this year, they would create $15 million. It's all very dumb.
Yes, and the actual cap hit goes down to 14.7. So they still end up paying quite a bit, but the cap savings itself. So even though that the number isn't as much,
well, it's spread out over 2 years.
Yeah, it's funky, but I'm surprised they couldn't find anybody to figure that out. Like, is Cooper Kupp worth exactly that number? Maybe. Well, if you squint,
he's got to be healthy and he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And that's a problem when you have a 31-year-old receiver. The only difference with Cooper Kupp, though, is that he's a guy that is quick and he's an explosive receiver, but not in the way that most guys really break down, which are the, first step downfield bursters, right? Cooper Kupp will have a lot of value. The thing that is great for him, though, is now he can pick and choose his situation, and that helps a guy out a ton when it comes to, all right, what place can I go where maybe they don't need to rely on me the same way the Rams did, right?
Yeah,
the volume won't have to be there as
Cooper
much.
Kupp, the number 2 wide receiver, is
dangerous.
pretty nice.
So, where does he go? And he can sign any deal he wants now. He can do the hometown, like he can go, I'm going to play real cheap because I want to win and I want to chase rings. He could go to Kansas City. He very easily could go to Kansas City and sign a veteran minimum deal a la DeAndre Hopkins last year.
Hey, remind me again, have the Kansas City Chiefs done anything recently that would allow for them to have more room?
Well, they did. Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones restructured their deals, opened up $49.5 million in cap space. That is in order to sign the guys that they're bringing in free agency. They still need to create more salary cap space, and they created $49.5 million. Wow. Yeah, right? That's crazy. But he could go to Kansas City. He could go to Seattle is a team that is being brought up in the Cooper Kupp conversation because of obviously the big changeover that they've had. They're one of the favorites right now. They just got Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Okay, they have JSN, and obviously Sam Darnold needs help. And Cooper Kupp being the underneath guy, MVS can be your downfield guy. He had actually a short time with Clint Kubiak this past year in New Orleans. He actually had a pretty decent season for what they were asking him to do, which was be the downfield guy, right? Stretch.
And if you're talking Seahawks, the Seahawks are obviously familiar with Cooper Kupp being in division, and they understand what he is, and what he can do, and what limitations are. And
you want to sell some tickets?
It's not a bad idea.
Bring the hometown guy home. Well, home state guy home. But I think if you're looking at best fits, Devontae Adams, Ladd McConkey, Cooper Kupp in L.A. Doesn't have to move, can play for cheap, gets Justin Herbert as his quarterback, and good luck defending that.
Yeah.
Because then you have the two underneath guys, and everybody was saying, well, how do the Rams do it with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp? It's
they did.
So damn hard. It's called mesh. You run both of them across the formation, and they go shoulder to shoulder, and you go, oh, no, we have to pick. It could be frightening there. Chicago. You add him and you put him in a role where you have DJ Moore, you have Roma Dunze, you have now Cooper Kupp in the middle with Caleb Williams being able to throw short.
He takes the Keenan Allen role, which, Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of choices for Cooper Cup. But then there's also teams that are wide receiver needy that have a lot of money. A lot of the New England Patriots.
Patriots and
The
Raiders both still have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Even after everything the Raiders have done, this is factoring in Geno's extension being roughly $40 million. They still have $30 million to work with.
There's going to be a lot of teams that should kick the tires and push in for Cooper Cup.
And not only that, he's one of the most low maintenance wide receivers in the league. That has to also factor into this. Like, do you want to bring a guy like Stephon Diggs is still out there? And talent-wise, Diggs is there, but it comes with all of the other stuff.
Nope.
Cooper Cup, the stuff that you're worrying about is him getting a little long in the tooth and being a little bit more injury-prone. But locker room guy, character guy, on the field, off field, like you know what he is and what he can give you week in, week out, as long as he's healthy.
I would want Cooper Cup on my team.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't care the injury history, the age, all of it. You know, if
particularly if the money's right,
it is all about whatever he wants. And like this texter says, Cowboys with CD, Cowboys haven't done jack squat. They actually just traded for a corner to Buffalo today. That's what, and I think they signed a long snapper.
Yeah, them and the Saints have done next to nothing.
Well, the Saints can't.
They did sign Juwan Johnson back, so look at that.
Yeah. That cap hold was already there, and he's coming back pretty cheap for them. So, but Cooper Cup now being a free agent, watch that name, and the odds are going to start coming out on where he's going to land as people start garnering the intel on what he's looking for. That's the biggest thing, though, with him. What is Cooper Cup looking for? Is he looking to go and chase a ring? If he wants to go and get another ring, he can go and do that.
If he wants to get paid,
to get paid, and that changes dramatically where he's going. He could be going to Vegas or New England, or he could be going to, whether it is Washington or it is L.A. and staying in L.A. and just playing for the Chargers, going to Chicago, Kansas City as well.
How are the Patriots? How are you guys doing right now on your white guy wide receivers?
Oh, man.
You guys need one, don't you?
Look.
Isn't the quota low?
You always in New England can have room for some white wide receivers, but I don't think we have any.
Say you got Mac. That was the big signing you guys had.
Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Boutte, Kendrick Bourne. What's up, Milwaukee?
There you go.
Eastern Washington guy too.
Ooh, there you go.
Kendrick and Cup. Jalen Polk. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
You need an exciting white.
Yeah. I mean, no. John Giles, Jaquay Jackson. No. Could happen.
There you go.
Could happen. All right. So Cooper Cup on the move. It's weird in my gut. I feel like it's either going to be Seattle or the Chargers. And I can't really. That's just a gut feel.
No. I mean, that's how I felt with Bosa going to the Bills. It's just like it just makes too much sense.
We'll talk about that. That's a big one for him. And I think it's pretty telling of the direction of the 49ers and how his brother felt about it, too. We'll have Joey Bosa, where he's going, coming up a little bit later here in the radio program. But we do have a follow-up to a story that we talked about, and it is big news. We'll get to what the power conference is and who was allowed in the power conferences next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Ross Dellinger had an article a couple weeks ago. We talked about this with Brian Kelly's quotes about the new enforcement arm of college football that is coming. Well, it's become official. They announced it today. In conjunction with the NCAA, the power conferences have said that they are moving towards a model where they will operate under a different rule set than the other schools that are opting out of the pay for play, as we will use air quotes around that, the $20.5 million salary cap. And basically what they outlined today in their release is everything that we already knew, right? There will be an enforcement arm that will hold coaches and universities accountable for violating the rules, unlike the NCAA. They will have the ability to fine universities, suspend and fine coaches, suspend players, actually punish quickly, too, the universities that break the rules in college sports.
Mm-hmm.
Seems good because the NCAA had zero power, and now this is something that is going to be widely accepted, and it will be within the parameters of the House settlement. The other things that they will have is they have hired a company, LBI Software, to develop a cap management and reporting platform. So every school is using the same thing, inputting all of the financial data and how the cap
That
will
way,
be distributed.
there's no wiggle room or fudging or moving around of certain things. And even though it's going to exist, and you've seen a lot of people around college football say, yes, it'll exist, but the legal case that's going to come out of this is the lack of prohibition on NIL spending.
Well, and by the way, the LBI software, MLB and the NBA both use it.
Mm-hmm.
Deloitte is also part of this release, and that's the one that we talked about, where they're the ones, it's going to be the third party to review and evaluate all Division I athletes' third-party NIL deals valued at $600 or more, which would be required to be reported under the new proposed settlement. Part of the House settlement is that any NIL deal over $600 from a third party is going to have to be reported. This is where they're going to start taking losses, though, because Deloitte is a company that they're creating a system to evaluate whether it is a fair market deal.
Here's what fair market is, folks.
Not going to happen.
Fair market is whatever anybody's willing to pay you.
And
that's the whole idea of fair market.
This is going to be the big issue. The United States government will not take them saying, you can't tell them what they can earn unless it's collectively bargained.
Yes.
And then they're going to say, well, we can't really collectively bargain because then they become employees. And they're still fighting they're not employees.
It's like, it's going to get there eventually.
So they're just going to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, the third party deals.
You either make them employees and you collectively bargain this, and there are things and guardrails that you put around stuff, or you shut up and you swallow the fact that the big boys are going to be able to still do big boy things.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality of this. What's interesting about this, two of the committee members that are on the committee that are framing this are Scott Barnes at Oregon State and Ann McCoy at Washington State.
Well, that is because the Pac-12 is part of this.
Still part of this.
They are part of the power conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So what it was, the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, Pac-12, and NCAA were the ones preparing all of this format, how it is going to play out, and we can kind of call it what it is, a split from the NCAA, right? This is going to be them saying, nope, NCAA is not operating those conferences. In all other 10 conference commissioners that play football, right? So that would be your Power 5 and your Group of 5. They were also involved in this, but the Pac-12 was separated with the other conferences. That is probably the best piece of news that you could get if you're an Oregon State or Washington State fan right now.
Because you still got both feet in the club.
You were allowed to be part of the conversation. Now, in a year, they could vote you out.
Sure.
And they very easily could just say,
the work ain't done, but you're still in the club.
Thanks for playing the games, but deuces. So it is encouraging though that they didn't have just one, they had two voices in the planning of this. Whereas if you look at it, Texas A&M, Kentucky, those are SEC schools, they had two. The ACC had two, the Big 12 had two, and the Big 10 had two as well, with Washington's Pat Chun and Ross Bjork from Ohio State. Each one of the conferences had two, and the Pac-12 had two members in it. Both of them had a say in it. That's great. That's good news for Oregon State and Washington State and the rest of the teams that are joining the Pac-12 too, because now it's like, it's not just, if you're a fan of Boise State, for example, who's going to join up with them, you're saying, all right, we at least still have a seat at the big boy
The
table.
work ain't done, but you haven't been kicked out yet.
Long way to go. But that's kind of the update, is that from what Dellinger was reporting, it is moving forward. They did announce it today. There's still a ton to work out. Yeah. But I think for me, especially as a fan of college, one of the things that it was a little bit discouraging was the fact that we had so many schools that were just thumbing their nose at the NCAA and knowing the NCAA couldn't and wouldn't do anything about it. And now there are gonna be penalties if you cross the line. And they're all accepting of it, saying, all right, we're going to rein this back in.
It's not you didn't know. It's not the Wild Wild West. It's still the Wild West.
And look, like, people can have the idea that they blame NIL. I think the bigger issue with the way that college sports has gone is that the NCAA had no teeth anymore, and everybody knew it. And so they just said, screw it. We're going to power right through. Mm-hmm. All right, 503-864-6326. That is the Fan text line. That's where your voice can be heard as well. All right, we talked about Cooper Kupp and a couple of the signings out there, but the Buffalo Bills loading up. Is it enough to knock down the mighty Chiefs? Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Aloha, Portland sports fans.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on to the Fan, the Trailblazers look to end a 4-game skid as they start a 7-game homestand tonight hosting the Knicks. 7 o'clock tip on KUNP, that's 2.2 on your antenna, or Xfinity Channel 302. DeAndre Ayton is out. Jeremy Grant is doubtful. Robert Williams III questionable, as is Matisse Thybulle, who will reportedly be in uniform for the first time this season. The Blazers are 4-point dogs. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reporting the Seahawks signing Marquez Valdes-Scantling to a 1-year deal worth up to $5.5 million. Pelissero also reporting the Commanders are bringing back former Oregon quarterback Marcus Mariota on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Pelissero also reporting again, the Rams have told wide receiver Cooper Kupp he'll be released today, freeing up $7.5 million in cap space. The Chargers are re-signing former Oregon linebacker Troy Dye to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal that could be worth as much as $8.5 million. And Yahoo Sports' Charles Robinson reporting the Falcons expected to keep quarterback Kirk Cousins through Sunday's deadline and pay the $10 million he is due. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Soup on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
All right, my rock smashes your scissors. Oh, no, not these scissors, pal. This is a special titanium steel alloy developed by NASA for the space program. These scissors that smash your rock to smithereens. No, not this rack. This rack happens to be kryptonite.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
Hey, what's happening, Norm?
It's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
No!
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours, whether it's on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, or where the party people party, Utah. YouTube.com/1080 AM The Fan.
Available in Utah, even there. Vernon
They got
Maxwell
YouTube?
confirmed.
They got YouTube there?
I mean, Vernon Maxwell confirmed they have internet there.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, when he said, I'm
And
sorry.
weak beer.
Well, I mean, Vernon Maxwell, maybe the biggest hater of Utah. He said, hey, sorry, I wouldn't have said those things. I didn't realize you had internet there yet.
They do.
I do love the ongoing feud he has with the state of Utah. It's wonderful.
Didn't Utah, aren't they usually on the highest usage of Pornhub?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Soaking.
Need that sweet release.
Okay. All right. They release that data like every year. And I'm interested.
The most searched, the states with the highest searches per capita, and then like the most searched thing in that
you
state.
just wouldn't think it.
I mean,
Actually, you
or
totally
would you?
Yeah, you definitely would. All right. Joey Bosa is heading to Buffalo.
I love it.
That's good.
10
Yeah.
out of 10 fit. Love it.
As long as he can stay healthy, and like they're going to do the same thing they did with Von Miller. Von Miller had a really good year this year, but put him on a pitch count, keep him as healthy as you can, unleash him in the playoffs. That's what they want to do. And for Bosa to have that awareness, to go to a place where he's not, it's 1 year, 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was his 12 or 18?
Oh, I might be getting him confused with Khalil Mack.
Yeah, I
had it written down
I think
somewhere,
his was
but-
12. Yeah, well, 1 year, 12.6.
1 year, 12.6. That is a smoking deal for a guy that has a lot to prove, but has a skill set that you will desperately need to play and beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Like make no mistake, that's all they're trying to do right now. That is their
It's the
kryptonite.
boogeyman. Yeah, it's the one thing they have to do, and go get a guy in very much the same vein as Von Miller, but still has more in the tank than even Von. And look, Bosa's thing is just the injuries, and it's a big thing, but
It's the thing.
but he is a game breaker.
Yeah.
He's still that dude, and you throughout the regular season, very clear pass rush situations. You put him on the field. Otherwise, you don't grind him to dust in the early passing downs. You just take care of him. You deploy him properly. Make sure he's good to go come winning time. But also, he's a guy during the regular season that can make plays for you.
Yes. I think that what you're asking for him to do, don't have the expectation that he is going to be Joey Bosa every down guy.
No.
Every game guy even. They know exactly, and the fact that Buffalo went through this with Von Miller before, I think that is really good on their end too, because there was a process they had to work out in the first year that they did it with Von Miller. They figured it out, they fine-tuned it, and he was great for them this year. So, you know, I see this on the text line. ESPN gave the Buffalo Bosa deal a C. I disagree with that. I think it's going to be far better. Don't look at it through the lens of expecting Joey Bosa to be the guy that Chiefs or Chargers fans expected him to be.
I don't really quite understand how they give that a C. Like, that kind of hurts my head.
Well, because he is injured, man.
No,
I mean,
I get that, but like
that's a big deal.
But I mean, a C? Like, you're just saying it's a meh move.
An average move?
Yeah, like, I don't think that's an average move.
Yep. Well, TBD on this, and that's going to be the big one moving forward is what does it look? I think they got Larry Ogunjobi.
Yes.
Ogunjobi. I think that's another great one too, because you're bolstering the interior of your defensive line.
Him and Ed Oliver. Yeah,
and you get the outside. They know how they need to beat the upper echelon teams in the AFC, which is Kansas City. And they've got to start it in the middle. And when you have Ed Oliver, when you have Ogunjobi, now you add Joey Bosa. Those are great. Those are two really good moves that they've pulled off today. There's a lot that they still need to work on, though. And the big one is, and this is the hardest part, this is what teams went through all the time against any great dynasty team. It's the mental hurdle of getting over those games against Kansas City.
Whatever that thing is, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting over Kansas City. It was getting over Tom Brady in New England. It was getting over, the 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys. There's this mental hurdle, and every team that is a dynasty, they have one that is just like, we can't get past them. And for Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts, it was Tom Brady and the Patriots, right? Right now, we're looking at Josh Allen is going through the same thing. And Manning, a few times, got past him, right? You've got to find that way. And look, McDermott has got a huge year.
Yes.
I
think this might end up being a make or break year for him.
Yeah. Also, in the free agency world, there's news coming out about Russell Wilson, where he's going to go. Diana Rossini reporting that Russ is in Cleveland, and he is going to meet with the Browns and then head to New York and meet with the New York Giants.
When you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, how deep does that ladle go?
For who?
For those teams and for Russ. It's both of them. It's both looking each other in the eye going, we've reached this point.
It's better than Kenny Pickett if you're Cleveland.
You're not wrong.
So I think that if you're looking at it,
because the Falcons were possibly looking at moving on from Kirk Cousins, but they have now put it out there that they're going to keep him through and give him this $10 million roster bonus, which if you're going to do that, you're probably going to keep him.
We won't talk about that contract being one of the worst in the NFL's history, because the worst is Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and they're running concurrently.
Yes. And then
what Atlanta did,
and Dak Prescott is also flashing right there too.
What Atlanta did is so egregious. Well, but Dak,
careful
with Dak. Well, I'm not going to prop him up with Dak though. It's not a Dak issue. It's the Cowboys.
Yeah,
they bid against themselves.
Just insanity.
With Kirk Cousins, it was like, there's this expectation. With Kirk Cousins, he did it to Washington, he did it to Minnesota, now he's doing it to Atlanta. It's
surely
what are we doing?
And beyond that, like the picture that will always be burned in my brain is Arthur Blank and the GM on draft night after they drafted Penix. Like, what the hell is happening here?
That draft pick looks better and better with every single day that passes.
Oh God, yeah. No, I think the GM was right, but when you're
he
sitting,
was totally right.
When you're sitting there, though, like, I just signed Kirk Cousins to $100 million guaranteed.
No, the GM was right in that moment. They were completely wrong when they signed Kirk Cousins to that deal.
Yeah.
And it is something I just do not and will not understand. But Russell Wilson, I mean, for the New York Giants, this could get real bleak if Cleveland is the landing spot for Russ.
Yeah, what do you? I mean, does that force?
Jameis Winston.
I mean, does that force you? I mean, at that point, you have to take Shador almost, right? At 3.
Yeah, you do. Or give up a ton of assets to go get Cam Ward.
Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be in the camp of giving up assets to go get Cam Ward,
You're not in a place to do it.
but I think it might be worse to stand pat and take Shador, which is kind of insane.
Trade back. Maybe if you can trade back and you just say,
Take
3 was too high, we're collecting, and if somebody's there, if
I want
somebody
door
says,
number 3.
well, you're at the 3rd pick, so you would have some leverage if somebody loves Abdul Carter
Yeah.
or they love Mason Graham or Travis Hunter, if Travis Hunter is there.
Because now it sounds like with the Patriots going and getting another defensive lineman, it sounds like Mason Graham is not on their board now. I'd be shocked if that were the case, but
they are for the best player available.
But let's say that the Giants move back and Abdul Carter's there. Do the Patriots go, screw it, we'll go get Abdul Carter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they wouldn't have to jump. I think the Patriots aren't going to give anything up to jump the Giants.
Okay.
Because they still need offensive line help. They still need more defensive linemen. They still need a number 1 receiver.
No.
And that could be Tetro McMillan could be that guy there. I think when you look at what they still need, they got a lot of guys and they spent a lot of money. This is the thing about NFL free agency. If you spend money, it's because you're bad.
Yeah.
Because you have the money and you're saying we have got so many holes to fill. We can't do it with 1, 2, or 3 guys in the NFL draft.
I remember Bill Simmons saying, the great thing about free agency with the Patriots in their best years was Bill Belichick was in Cape Cod in the first 2 days of free agency because he didn't care.
Yeah, and you didn't need anything.
Yeah. He goes, the guys we want, we're waiting for to get on a good deal anyways. So we don't care.
That's where it's like winners and losers of free agency. Winners and losers of free agency should be the teams that get a guy or 2.
At a good value price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo's had a great free agency. I think that the Minnesota Vikings have had a really good free agency period because they haven't done a bunch of moves. They've said, we've got what we've got and we're going to stay with it. Teams that have been awful in free agency are the ones that have made a ton of moves and you're going, oh boy, that's going to 49ers.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're like, this is not looking good for the future.
And then the further outreaches is the Cowboys and Saints because they can't.
In the Bengals.
Bengals.
Those are
who
the
somehow
ones
found
that
money
just
to pay
brutal.
Mike Gesicki, but are still clawing for money to figure out Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson and Joe Burrow's restructure. I'm like, why are you paying people right now? You've got other things to do.
You need a tight end and that money's earmarked, right? Like you have the money earmarked. They're just dumb because they could have and should have done this a year ago. A year ago.
The thing that we are learning is pay everybody a yearly.
Yeah.
If he's your guy, pay him a yearly.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that. I feel bad though. Giants fans, you're gonna be in it. Actually, I don't feel bad for you, Giants fans. Screw you guys. I love you. But come on. Snatch my soul twice. We'll keep you up to date of anything else that's going on. Is one of the best players in the entire NBA on planet Earth making his life harder? Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Dallas is in their feelings still over the Luka Doncic trade, and they will be for a very long time.
Yeesh.
It's not going well in Dallas. But somebody on Reddit threw out a topic that raised my attention. And then when he dove into the numbers, it actually has some validity to it. It says Luka Doncic and the troubling change in his shot distribution. As Luka has entered his prime further and further, there is a trend that is a lot more apparent. And it is his ability and willingness to get shots at close range. And what this guy, he started it with the premise of just look at the difference in his dunks per year. How old is Luka Doncic?
25.
Still should be dunking quite a bit, yeah? Year 1, 25. Year 2, 14. Then it drops to 12, 15, 12. Last year, Luka dunked the ball twice.
Oh, that's a CJ McCollum number.
This year, he is one dunk on the season. Only one. And that's a good starting point because, tall, athletic, guy in his prime, you would think that he would be getting put ball through hoop easy way possible, right? Boom. As he goes and they break down the numbers even more, Luka's shot distance between 0 and 3 feet, it is down to 12% of his shots are from 12 feet or from 3 feet and closer.
Yes.
Last year, it was 9%. The year before, it was 10%. This year it is 10%. That is a crazy number to think about for a guy like Luka Doncic to be that close to the rim.
So
and not be getting shots.
Luka's never been a true rim guy in the sense. His highest percentage of shots at the rim in his career was 33% in year 2. Otherwise, he has been between 20 and 25%.
That's crazy.
The biggest drop, however, and this is manifested drastically so post-calf injury and playing with the Lakers. So Luka, and this is per cleaning the glass. So it breaks it out depending if you're a wing or a point guard. For the last 5 years, he's been described as a point guard. His first 2-3 years in the league, he was described as a wing. Okay, but rim is basically shots within 4 feet. The 4 to 10 foot range, otherwise known as the floater range, is where Luka has been insanely prolific, right?
Mm-hmm. Because he is very big, very strong.
He can create that space with his shoulder, and he has that little push shot. He has the Dirk, like a little one-legged runner.
Yep.
He has that, like, just inside the free throw line, the actual Dirk shot that he learned from Dirk, the one-legged fall away. But he was in the 90th percentile in the first 4 years of his career in short and mid. And the last 3 years in Dallas, he has been basically around the 80th percentile, 78th, 77th, 79th. Since going to Lakers, he is in the 29th percentile.
And that is the thing. His average shot while a Laker is 17.9 feet from the basket.
And it hasn't been like this major uptick from 3. Like with the Mavs before the calf injury, he was at 41% of his shots were from 3. He's at 43% with the Lakers. So it's not like this seismic shift.
What are we? I mean, you look at it and you say, this is still is one of the best players in the league. But why make the game harder when you still have that skill set? Because I understand the calf injury. He still has that shot, and that creation does not require explosiveness. And I think that's when you take the dunk numbers and you take those out of it. You were mentioning that 4-foot floater. That does not require the explosiveness that a calf injury would limit him to. It seems like there is a conscious choice, and you can't really blame it on just playing alongside LeBron either, because it was trending that way for several years in Dallas before this.
And the thing that I think it is it's when you talk about his usage in particular, I'll make it kind of relevant here for Blazers fans. Watch Shaedon Sharpe and how hard he has to work to get to the rim. Now, he doesn't have the physicality or the handle of Luka, but watch him when he drives. Because when Shaedon drives and he beats the first guy and he's got a step on the second guy, he's very often going to go to the rim. But if that help comes, you see him just turn around or stop and give the ball up. And I say all this because I asked Shaden after when he had that massive usage last year, when everybody was hurt and he was thrust into the number one offensive role. I talked to him after the game. I'm like, how you feeling, man? He just kind of like leaned, like threw his body back in the chair and like threw his head back and kind of laughed. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot, huh? He goes, I don't know how Dame does it. He goes, I had no idea the level of energy and like locked in like that. Like everybody wants that level of usage until you get it and you realize the burden and the energy expended to do that. And you look at Luka, you talk about all of the, look, this is where I will give the one little kernel of truth to what Nico Harrison was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that even when it happened, like, even if you believe that, because what Luka is still capable of doing on a night in, night out basis is a 30-point triple-double. That's we've seen it, even with under these circumstances. And that's where the whole idea of like, yeah, so if he does figure it out and if he does get in shape, like the risk doesn't even come close to the level of reward. But it is certainly there's something there that you go, huh, that's... Because it makes you wonder.
The level of drop off we've seen, and this is something that happens with guys in all professional sports all the time, right? We see it in football if it's a quarterback who, is wildly effective underneath, and then all of a sudden you're like, why is he forcing the ball down the field? That's not who he is, Russell Wilson, right? And tries to change and gets it in their head. I need to change the way that I operate, right? You get baseball players who they rope singles and doubles, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope.
I need an uppercut swing.
I am going to change my swing, and I'm going to try to hit ball over fence. We see it in basketball all the time where guys are like, no, I'm a three-point shooter. And their game changes dramatically. And the drop-off is usually very significant. With Luka, the drop-off isn't as significant, but you go from being arguably the best player in the world to being a 7 to 10 best player in the world.
Yeah.
And that right there is that kernel of truth that you're talking about, that Nico Harrison was like, hey, there's some stuff here that we can't get through to him on.
And the whole idea of him being a ticking time bomb, I'm not going to buy into until his body blows up.
The injury ticking time bomb, no.
Yeah. But the change in his game, and look again, to use a Blazers parlance, like CJ McCollum did not go to the rim directly because he broke his feet twice. He did it at Lehigh and lost the season. He did it early on in this Trailblazers career. He was like, look, man, and look, I think basketball has this. People think that basketball is a soft sport. Brother, I've seen what these guys look like after games. It is not soft. Everyone's icing, treating, carved up, bruised up, beat up. But CJ was like, look, man, my feet, I can't lose another year. I can't have something happen. So the skills and drills. He became a handling monster in one of the best mid-range shooters of a generation. But he also lost some efficiency because he was just not his drive volume and getting to the rim. I believe he's still there. If he's not there, he's second. I checked this at the beginning of the season. Among 20-point per game scorers since 1970. Okay, that's a lot of really good players. CJ McCollum has the lowest free throw rate in the history of the NBA in that time period. The lowest free throw rate. Why?
Yikes.
Because he doesn't go to the rim.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, Luka, think about how big he is and how physical he is and how often he still gets to the free throw line, which he still does. But that's a lot of wear and tear. And you see it with guys like when LeBron went to Miami and put on 40 pounds because he was like, I need to be strong. I need to be big. I need to be able to take on punishment. But look at late career LeBron. What did he do? He got much thinner.
See, but this is right there is the caution that Dallas was taking. And it's going to be the separator for Luka Doncic in that they were worried about his commitment to being an all-time great.
Yes. And LeBron has that.
He had that. Jordan had that. Hell, even though you were just criticizing him, the body change that we saw in CJ McCollum in his time in Portland.
Oh, he got jacked. I mean,
because he needed to take more of that punishment. That is something that Luka he's fought. He's failed to
do. I mean, Jokic, it took him years, and he finally did.
And that is something that I think that is also that kernel of truth that Nico Harrison was talking about, in that if he is going to be a guy with longevity in the league, that commitment has got to come from somewhere because he's adjusting his game to be like, dude, I can still be dominant and not take that as many hits because closer to the rim you get, the more punishment you take, right? So you're seeing him pull away from the rim, but if you do that, it's going to change stylistically who you are and your productivity, and we're seeing it is there. It's not as exaggerated as most players because of just how damn good he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he is truly one of the most gifted basketball players ever to walk the face of the earth.
And this change for him, like you said, it takes him from in the conversation for best player in the world to, this is going to sound so backhanded, and I don't mean it this way, but it takes him to the Jason Tatum level, where instead of being top 3, you're in that 4 through 7 range.
Yeah.
But that's when you get to the very top, those are the differences.
Well, and that's also a lot of franchises say, if we're going to climb that mountain, we have to have that 1 through 3.
Yep.
The 4 through 7, it works. Jason Tatum, when you have Jaylen Brown, Derek White,
Drew Holiday,
Al Horford. Yeah. The 6th man of the year, Peyton Pritchard this year.
The gap between the top 2-3 players in the world and that next group is very big. Like, I don't think people truly understand how big that gap really is because you look at greatness. It's like we talked about the Jokic thing yesterday. He's averaging almost a 30-point triple-double on 67% true shooting percentage. Like, he's top 3 in the NBA in scoring, rebounding, and assists.
Yeah.
Like, that's because we see greatness, because we've seen LeBron and we've seen Michael Jordan. Like, we just think like that level of greatness is normal, and it's just not. And so when you see like these little dials that can still be turned up with a guy like Luka, you're like, it's so crazy that he's that great, but he still leaves you wanting because of the limitations or drawbacks that he's kind of imposing on himself.
It's also that difference between 1, 2, and 3, and then everybody else. We have seen this, and it's crazy to talk about with a guy who's still really damn good, averaging like 30, 12, and 6. But Giannis, Giannis is now 30 years old.
And he had the comments the other day about I had to like remind myself, I'm never going to win another MVP.
And it's just that little tick down, but that's the difference. Yeah. That's the difference right there.
Even though he's averaging 30, 12, and 6.
Yeah, he's really good.
And boy, did he lose in crippling fashion last night.
Halliburton. 4-point play.
4-point play.
And then he Dame timed it.
You know what? I love that there's a little beef brewing between those two teams. Because it started last year with the play-in stuff and like a little back and forth.
And they did the same thing again. He tapped the wrist.
Look, careful with that. Careful with that. But I love it. And they might end up matching up in the playoffs.
Yep. Right now it'd be the 4-5 matchup.
Which, boy, would that be spicy. I am all about it. All right, come up on our worst day on the web. Sometimes sports just comes out and just gives you gold, and they try to rip it away from you just because of people just can't have fun. But first, it's the Big Kuno Sports Center update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers look to end a 4-game losing streak as they start a 7-game homestand tonight, hosting the Knicks. 7 o'clock tip on KUNP. That is 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. DeAndre Ayton is out. Jeremy Grant doubtful. Robert Williams III questionable. So is Matisse Thybulle, who will reportedly be in uniform for the first time this season. The Blazers are 4-point dogs. Over in the NFL, Tom Pelissero reporting the Seahawks signing Marquez Valdes-Scantling to a 1-year deal worth up to $5.5 million. Pelissero also reporting the Commanders bringing back former Oregon quarterback Marcus Mariota on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Pelissero again reporting the Rams have told wide receiver Cooper Kupp he'll be released today, freeing up $7.5 million in cap space. The Chargers are re-signing former Oregon linebacker Troy Dye to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal that could be worth as much as $8.5 million. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting former Steelers quarterback Russell Wilson expected to visit with the Browns tomorrow and the Giants on Friday. And Yahoo Sports' Charles Robinson reporting the Falcons expected to keep quarterback Kirk Cousins through Sunday's deadline and pay the $10 million he is due. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan hoodie, as well as classic long and short sleeve tees. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. It's time for today's worst day on the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks.
I'm a baseball hat aficionado.
All right.
I have anywhere between 250 and 300 hats at my house, even though I wear probably
Jesus.
10 to 12 in rotation at a given time.
For why?
I love hats.
Obviously.
Love hats.
Love lamb.
Hat Club, stop sending me emails, not because I hate you, but because I keep buying more hats.
Yeah.
But even when I was in the Air Force, I had like the hanging hat racks
Yeah.
that were just stuffed full, and I've even with getting rid of most of those, I still have way too many. But I say all of this because anytime new hats come out, I'm like, ooh, let's take what we got here. Well, there's a new hat that was released by MLB that takes the traditional hats and then slaps the singular team logo over the top of it. So it says, like, for Baltimore, it says Orioles, but then it's the Orioles bird slapped dead center and supersized over the top of it. So it's like,
Yeah.
it looks like a graphic design is my passion type hat. Look,
You're not wrong on that one.
it's an ugly hat, but the one that I saw immediately was the Texas Rangers hat. And so it says Texas, Texas. Well, they slap the T, the giant Texas Rangers T, over the X.
Yeah.
So now it says Tetas.
Titas.
In El Español, that would be tetas.
Yeah, I was going to get there.
Yeah.
I was going to get there.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering what that means, it's exactly what you think it means.
Well,
Tickle bitties.
It is.
the Astros says asshos on it.
Uh-huh. Which, I mean,
Oh, that one fits.
Yeah, I mean, taking out the T and the R and just throwing the H right in the middle. Yikes!
It's-
Like that's the whole
it's
thing.
like the little kid from, is it Little Nicky? Where he does with his first words. No, it's Meet the Fockers. Or the
Oh,
little-
yes. A hole.
A-hos.
Yes.
That's his first words. And it's like, that's kind of how it reads.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it reads. Major League Baseball has pulled the hat off the market.
No way. Look, Major League Baseball's had some problems with the uniforms, apparel, all this. The City Connect uniforms
The
have
see-throughs.
been really bad. They're switched to Fanatics to make the uniforms last year, where they were see-through, ripping, and tiny names on the back. They have, if you've noticed, spring training, there's a lot of pictures out. They have rectified a lot of the ills of last year's uniforms. They are back to being a thicker jersey material. The letters on the names are actually a normal size that are readable. They're not in fine print anymore. They've done a good job with a lot of those, and they're redoing a lot of the City Connects. If you've noticed, there's been a bunch of leaks. The Astros one just leaked. Good looking jersey. Good looking jersey. It's a mix of like all of their different eras of uniforms. Pretty cool. But baseball hats are great. You don't need to church them up. And these ones are not going to sell regardless.
Well, the Rangers one in particular just sold on eBay. One of them sold for $1,000.
Well, yeah. Well, it's boobs.
It boobies. And this is one of the ones that also has a
An
collector.
eighth grader had $1,000
Yeah.
to spend on a hat. That's crazy.
There was the one last year where the A's
It's a
had
Lonzy
the
mode.
superimposed A's, but it was one big A's, and then the A was kind of pushed to the background, and the S's were exaggerated. So it looked like it
Yeah.
spelled exactly what you think it
Yeah.
spelled,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
an A with a couple of S's.
Did they change it from a elephant to a donkey on a baseball?
Yeah, well, they probably should have gone on that path. But look, man,
That's my favorite one, though, when they do the lineup of hats. And the perfect, the perfect order of the American League West should be Texas Oakland in first place, then the Mariners, then the Astros, then the Angels, then the Rangers. Because if you just put their hats in order, it's the ass hat division. If you put them in that order and you just put the hats, that's what it spells right across there. It's the perfect division in baseball.
it's what it look. I mean, if they added Portland to that, would it be the pass hat?
Yeah, that's why Portland
Or-
team needs to be an NL
Or
team.
a PHAT?
I was going to say, at that point, you go with the fat ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Fat with a P.
With the P, pretty hot and tempting.
That's right.
Now I'm seeing a reason even more for Portland to have a team.
There you go. There you go.
Just
Go Rosebuds.
look, man.
The one game wild card played in Ventura, California.
God,
Right in the heart of the San Fernando Valley.
Love it. I just look, baseball, you have incredible logos. You have incredible hats. Like
Yeah.
I have of those 250, 300 hats, I probably have 25-ish, 10% of them are Cardinals hats. I have every Cardinals logo in basically colorway that has existed over the last decade. And for the most part, every one of those they nailed because it's over 100 years. The logos were great, and we got away from the minimalists didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it is trickled over into baseball, and it's been disgusting. The NFL had their moment. The NBA is still in the middle of it, but it seems like Major League Baseball is getting into their, we're going to find a way to screw up some of the best logos and designs in sports now.
Yeah, I'm glad we haven't had a really bad rebrand in baseball.
It's just been like the City Connect jerseys.
The City Connects have been bad.
They've all been atrocious.
Yeah.
And it's just
I'd argue the rebrands in Major League Baseball have gone really well because it's reverting back. The Orioles going back to the 70s bird, the Astros going away from the shooting star into the in the star, right? The Blue Jays, they went back to more of their original look.
The Angels going back to their old stuff instead of the Angels in the outfield Disney stuff.
Yeah, they really need to they need to revert all the way back
to the 70s.
Just make it
Halos.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. It will look good.
It's not
Twins
hard.
did a good job with their rebrand, a handful of years ago, where they just went back to the TC. Yeah, it's all. Brewers went back to the MB. Like they've all reverted back.
Because
none of them have been bad
because they're all good,
except for the Marlins.
I was literally just gonna say the Marlins because the old Marlins wasn't great because again the Disney influence that just seemed to proliferate around sports at that period in time.
I like the original F with just an actual normal looking Marlin.
I'm okay with it, but I think their best era was the Giancarlo Stanton Marlins. I think those were the best era Marlins jerseys.
I believe that's Mike Stanton.
Yeah, not there, not there. That's why I called it the Giancarlo era because it was pre-Mike.
Have you seen the thing? Speaking of baseball uniforms, what the Nationals could do?
No.
They could do one of the greatest things of all time because they are having a jersey patch sponsor for the first time ever.
Dun, 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 dun.
Their logo is the exact same as Walgreens. They could have, if Walgreens is to sponsor their jersey patch, they could just throw their own logo on the side of their jersey, and it's a jersey patch sponsor. It needs to happen.
I mean, when the branding, it's like when Storm Duck didn't go to Oregon.
Right.
It's like, but brother.
You got to.
Brother.
You got to do it.
You just got to go.
That's why it was great when Wesley Maller did go to Oregon. Yeah. Like you need to have it.
It's when things come together, you just need to allow that the universe is doing its thing.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the universe doing its thing, I didn't know how or where. I just got to get to this.
Okay.
There was an incredible story out from the Kelsey brothers who had Matt Stafford on his podcast, and he told an Aaron Donald story that it is the most Aaron Donald thing I think I've ever heard outside of knife hands. We'll get to that and more here on Danny and Dusty tonight, the Fan. Well, seemingly it's been a little while since we've had any of the Kelsey brothers content in the Zeitgeist, but they had Matthew Stafford on.
They're back.
They're back. They took their little hiatus, siesta, whatever you want to call it. And look, they make good content because they get the best out of the guys that come on because they're comfortable with them. And they had Matthew Stafford on, and Matthew Stafford told an Aaron Donald story that it is the second most Aaron Donald story next to Knife Hands. And so we'll just let the guys from New Heights, Matthew Stafford, take it from here.
I'll never forget, we had like a Make-A-Wish kid had been like, my dream is to go like be with Aaron Donald for a day kind of thing. And thankfully this kid at that point had kind of beaten the odds and had beaten the cancer that he had, I believe, and like was really on the mend. And it was really cool. Like he came in and you're like, oh man, this guy's like doing good, right? High school kid, bigger kid, loved to play football. And AD was like, cool, come work out with me, right? I'm walking by, I'm like, yo, what's about to go down? Yeah, right? I'm over there doing like banded something, and like 30 minutes in, and AD's just ripping curls out. Next thing you know, this kid is puking in the trash can. Oh my God. And I'm like, AD, can you please like have a little couth, a little understanding? Like,
the kid got what he wanted.
You want to be AD, you got to work like AD. It was
been on chemo for months, AD.
I'm like, God, we just relax on the bicep curls for a little bit. It's like, how many do we do till we throw up? You know what I mean? It was just like unbelievable.
So Aaron Donald, the freak that he is, takes the recovering cancer patient kid and puts him through a workout so egregious that he's got his head buried in a trash can, puking his brains out. Which, you know, you go through chemo, you're puking all day, every day for weeks on end. And look, kudos to the kid. He's working out with AD. He's like, I'm going to show you, AD. I'm going to show you what I'm about.
That and no matter, like Aaron Donald, he had zero awareness of whatever he told this kid to do, he was gonna do it because you only get that chance once. Yeah. That poor kid. Not only was he puking, I guarantee you he could not move his arms.
No,
for like
a couple days,
4 days.
Yeah.
Wow. Working out with professional athletes is different, and they don't get it that not everybody's like them. Not everybody's like them.
Have you ever lifted till you puked? I've been run till I puked more times than I could count. I've never lifted. Like, don't get me wrong. I've gotten a little. I've
had. I've swallowed my puke a few times.
Yeah, but I'm talking like uncontrolled. Like you got your head in a trash can from lifting.
I've seen it. I've seen it a lot, but never just lifting weights. No. Even circuit training, it can get. To the point where you're almost there.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
But from lifting, that's wild.
Well, also, I've never been through multiple rounds of chemo.
Yeah.
So that probably intensifies it a little bit for this kid. But I love that he prefaced it with, the kid had beat the odds and he looked good. Yeah. He was like a fit kid, and Aaron Donald's like, let's go lift. Blech. Yes. It's still a high school kid.
It's one thing to like, hey, work your way back in, take your time. It's another thing to come off cancer than go work out with Aaron Donald.
Knowing high school kids, too, he probably had like a 48-ounce Mountain Dew.
Oh, yeah.
Baja Blast right before he walked in there. It was like, yeah, dude, I'm just going to meet my idol.
Eat some T-Bell.
There you go. You weren't going down that road. You didn't know that you were going to be hitting the curls with Aaron Donald in the weight room doing burnouts. Let's go, buddy.
Look, if you're ever going to be forced to puke from a workout,
worth it.
That's the one time you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You watch a game, you'd be like, dude, that guy made me puke one time. Everybody's like, what? Yeah. Worked out with him.
I just had to find a way to share the story because every Aaron Donald story that comes out is always just like, yeah, no, that's insane.
Yeah. Let's get the knives out, bro. Let's do it.
I love that people thought that was a joke, and they're like, no, that was.
They were not real like butcher knives. They were like prop knives.
Yes,
because it's LA. You got the prop knives, but it looked cool.
But it looked cool.
Looked really cool. Looked really cool.
It's a little crazy.
Aaron Donald out for like 6 weeks for getting stabbed would be one hell of a headline.
Or Aaron Donald out for 6 weeks because he stabbed the guy working out with him. It's the more likely outcome, I think, in this situation.
His trainer, Steven Seagal.
Yeah, exactly. Coming up next, we have a bit of breaking news. The Seattle Seahawks are busy. They have a premier signing? Question mark. We'll get to that and more here on Danny Dusty, today, the Fan.
the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. A Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers look to end a 4-game losing streak as they start a 7-game homestand tonight hosting the Knicks. 7 o'clock tip on KUNP. 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. DeAndre Ayton is out. Jeremy Grant is doubtful. Robert Williams III is questionable, as is Matisse Thybulle, who will reportedly be in uniform for the first time this season. The Blazers are 4-point dogs. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reporting the Seahawks signing Marquez Valdes-Scantling to a 1-year deal worth up to $5.5 million. Pelissero also reporting the Commanders bringing back former Oregon quarterback Marcus Mariota on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Pelissero again reporting the Rams have told wide receiver Cooper Kupp he'll be released today, freeing up $7.5 million in cap space. The Chargers are re-signing former Oregon linebacker Troy Dye to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal that could be worth as much as $8.5 million. 6-time Pro Bowl cornerback Darius Slay signing a 1-year deal with the Steelers worth $10 million. The Broncos signing Jaguars tight end Evan Engram to a 2-year, $23 million deal. And shortly after being released by the 49ers, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave signing a 2-year, $30 million deal with the Vikings. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
My Uncle Gus is the uncle that liked to work the grill. As soon as he walk in the house, it's like, get away from that grill. You don't know how to start no fire.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
We're going to eat a hamburger, okay? Here we go. Challenge, throw the mat. Now that's a fire.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
I'm not cooking them Brontosaurus burger.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on a Wrestling Wednesday on Danny and Dusty. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am The Fan or twitch.tv/1080am The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful Wrestling Wednesday. Some breaking news as it pertains to the NFL team up I-5. The Seattle Seahawks writing a pretty big check for former Cowboys pass rusher DeMarcus Lawrence, a 3-year, $42 million deal, $18 million guaranteed. So this feels like it sounds like a big deal, but it sounds like maybe a bit more of a rental than anything else. Let's see how it goes and go from there.
When we find out the details of the deal, I bet it is a 1-year prove it. Because this is the thing with NFL contracts is that no matter what the years say, it's really a 2 to 3 year deal.
It's what the guarantee says.
That's what all deals in the NFL are. And it's been actually interesting to see the way that the players are actually getting privy to what the NFL has done with all of the contracts and how they're formatted, because of the fact that when you look at the free agent signings heading into today, there were 260 deals that have been done.
Wow.
Yeah, right? 7 of them were over 3 years.
Good God.
114 of those deals were 3-year deals. So think of it in those terms. Like the way that players are now approaching it is like, dude, don't give me a 5-year deal when I know it's only a 2 or 3 year deal. There's 114 of them were 3-year deals. 88 of them were 2-year deals. Okay. So the players are now going, let's cut the BS. If it's only going to be a 2-year, 3-year deal, let's just make it that way. And then if we want to restructure and we want to extend, then we can do it that way.
And the agents are a part of that too, because the agents always want to have the bigger number. And that's Andrew Brandt had this week the other day. We talked about like the idea of the deal that is reported. It's not the teams that are reporting that. It's the agents giving it to the media, and they're giving you the most years, the most monies, the most incentives, everything that's kind of included in that. So it makes them look and paints them and their client in the best possible light.
Yeah. But what we've now seen with the 3-year deals, this is an interesting one because we're talking about a 32-year-old edge rusher who's coming off a Liz Frank injury where he only played in 4 games this past year in Dallas. So he's aging, coming off an injury, and it's 3 years, $42 million. That's steeper than what his projections were for this year, but only $18 million of it is guaranteed, which that's a big alert. 1 year, and then we'll see where we're at
I
there.
bet you it's probably the $12 million guaranteed in the first year, $6 in the second kind of a deal.
He was, because then that's very cap friendly. His projection heading into, based on production, age,
All the
what the
things.
guy is.
Yeah.
Spot Track had him at 2 years, $24 million, which is around $12 million per year.
One year at 12 and another at 6, with probably the ability to tack that back on,
Well,
which would
we-
be right
yeah.
on par.
3 years, 42 is significantly higher
Yes.
than that. 18 million guaranteed is probably around that range of what he's going to be working with. That's why I want to see what the details are eventually, because his production does not
Match
add
up with that. No. Because especially even when you factor in injuries, when you see Bosa go to the Bills for 12.6,
Mm-hmm.
who would you rather have, even with all the caveats? It's pretty clearly Bosa.
And the dude has played
A lot of football.
He has 6,143 snaps
Oof.
in the NFL. He has been a warrior.
Yeah, he's not
his
not a
career.
guy that misses time, with the exception really of last year.
It is, when you look at it, 2021 he got hurt too, but he's played in 647, 787, 668, 668, 848, 701, 698 snaps, and those are his highs for his career. But at 32, coming off of Liz Frank, it's a great name to sign. It'll be interesting to see how productive he is moving forward with the age and the injury history that he has behind him. But
You're talking about a guy, if you just say 650 snaps over 17 games, that's almost 40 snaps a game.
most of those were 16-game seasons.
Oh, it's true, yeah. So you're over 40. So you're talking about, this is an every down
Yep.
guy.
Yep. And you're not going to be asking him to do that. It does fill a need, because there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. The Seahawks have taken it in the chin to start this new league year.
Oh, yeah.
You downgraded at quarterback.
Mhm.
You downgrade your receiver room. They've got some big changes. They really have not done a lot on the offensive line
Nope.
either to make themselves better.
To protect Sam Darnold, which is something he absolutely needs.
I have, this has not been a banner year, but they're always good in the draft. John Schneider has got a lot of work to do right now, because no Tyler Lockett, no DK Metcalf. And the drop off is not huge between Geno and Darnold, but it is a step back, especially if you don't have the weapons to put around him. So they got some work to do, man.
And speaking of interior offensive linemen, one of the best, or probably the best possible remaining lineman on the market, Kevin Zeitler, who's just the Lions, has just signed with the Titans.
Oh, look at that.
1 year, $9 million deal. So that's a guy that maybe the Seahawks were considering, or at least looking at. That's probably the last premier guy that's out there as far as if you're trying to really bolster your offensive line.
Yeah.
So interesting spot. Also in the NFC West, we opened up the show.
Hold on. Joel is saying on the YouTube chat, Geno, 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions last season. Seahawks downgraded at quarterback.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Great offensive line. Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones as your running back. Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell calling plays.
You had about the
There's
best possible
a-
framework.
There is everything fell in line for Sam Darnold last year. I hope he's great. I hope he keeps it up, and I hope he unlocks something. We have a large enough body of work
where that's the outlier as opposed to the other seasons.
because Clint Kubiak could be great,
Sure. But he's also their third coordinator in 3 years,
and it was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Last year.
which
One great.
also in the NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams have informed Cooper Kupp that they are going to release him with
Yeah.
that post June 1 designation.
Go get Cooper Kupp, Seahawks.
In which, I mean, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
There's no reason why. I mean, again, the reason why would be Cooper Kupp wants to go elsewhere, but he's a Washington guy, in division, familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things there that make sense. And then the other side of that is he could stay in the same stinking city and hop on that, go from the Rams to the Chargers, and that might be the fit.
I would I
We
would
talked
love
about
to see
DK
him
Metcalf
there.
and the Chargers possibly looking at him for a trade. Getting your NFC West's other top wide receiver is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, I would go. It would be interesting to see the fits, but when Greg Roman, he will like to pepper you underneath and take his shots deep. You add Devontae Adams to that receiver room. You already have Lad McConkey, who is going to be an underneath merchant. You would add another one, and you can layer Cooper Kupp in Lad McConkey. I would like to see that. That would be fun, man. And there is nothing about that game that I sit there and I say, you have two of the same guys. How are you going to use them? You can use both of those dudes at the same time and have Devontae Adams clearing out. That'd be fun.
Yeah, no,
that'd be a lot of fun.
It would make sense when you're talking about a guy like Harbaugh and how he likes to play.
That's a sneaky move too. Najee Harris out of the backfield. You get another aging AFC North running back and you bring him back because you just basically brought all the old Baltimore Ravens running backs last year. Now you get rid of them and you bring in Najee Harris and you say, you're coming home.
Mm-hmm.
See how much tread you have left on those tires.
And
Let's go, baby.
Just be as productive as you can be.
Yep.
Coming up next, the Portland Trailblazers start a 7-game homestand tonight against the New York Knicks.
The Knicks.
Matisse Thybulle is set to possibly make his season debut for the Trailblazers tonight. There's also a lot going on with the New York Knicks as Stephen Bondy has a report out now. Mikal Bridges is speaking out about Tibbs basketball and maybe some changes that they need to make, and might we see that tonight with the Knicks? Danny and Dusty, tonight, the Fan.
you better? Well, you better get ready.
Our annual basketball party is back. George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law presents Fan Madness Thursday and Friday, March 20th and 21st at the Stadium Sportsbook and Stadium Sports Bar at A Sportsbook. Join Dirt and Sprague, me, Isaac, and Sook at the area's top location for the 2 best days of tournament basketball. Fan Madness is also brought to you by Coors Light and Video Only. Make every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella run mean more at A Sportsbook. Join us for Fan Madness both days.
Yeah.
Up at A. More info at 1080thefan.com. I'm super excited for that. That is going to be
I love tourney.
So much fun.
I'm excited. I'm starting to get locked in, so my bracket's going to be perfect now that I've watched like Drake and Wofford and
The
Delaware.
Bracket Busters.
I watched Delaware
There you go.
lose to Central Connecticut State yesterday. That was a thing.
It's tough.
Well, I had to because of what Delaware had on the line.
Oh, yeah.
They'd lost 11 of 12 games heading into the conference tournament.
And had a chance to stamp a tourney run with a win.
They were 5-12 in conference play and damn near punched their ticket. I would have loved to watch the Blue Hens.
Look, those are the Cinderellas getting hot at the right time.
I watched Youngstown State.
There you go.
Too. Youngstown State, the Penguins damn near made the tourney.
You gotta love having a Penguin in there, waddling the way in.
Penguins have never made the tournament, ever. Lifetime, 0.
It's tough.
Yep, would have loved to have seen it.
It's tough. Speaking of basketball, Portland Trailblazers tonight start off a 7-game homestand. Little bit of housekeeping in a sense. Matisse Thybulle, while questionable tonight, it does sound like there's a good chance he makes his season debut. Coming off of what was some work on his knee coming out of the late summer as he was ramping up in December. He rolled the living bejesus out of his ankle. After a practice with the Remix, he's had some 5-on-5 action, so he is deemed at least eligible to return. That's kind of how the Blazers always do things. You got to get through a little bit of a run beforehand. For everybody's like, why is Matisse playing? Because he should. He needs to play. Let him go out there and show that he can play.
Yeah, why wouldn't you play him?
They need a tank. Everybody can't play. Like, it's Matisse Thybulle. He's going to be on a minutes restriction, guys. He's going to play, like, if he does play, he's going to play like 8 to 12 minutes. Let him just get out there. Let him
roll.
And look, the Blazers, since, was it January 19th, have the 4th best defense in the NBA. Let Matisse go out there and cause a little bit more havoc. It's fun.
Yeah.
He is an artist defensively.
I really would. I would love to see what Matisse Thybulle and Toumani Camara as a combo on the floor or a 1-2 punch, putting offenses in pretzels, man. That would be fun to see. We won't see it, but it'd be great to see those two guys on the floor, both fully healthy and to give a run at it. But I mean, in all likelihood, it won't be something we ever see. That sucks.
Yeah. In the same vein, the Blazers are playing the Knicks tonight, who are going to be without Jalen Brunson. He speaking of rolling the bejesus out of your ankle, he did that in overtime against the Lakers on their West Coast swing. I hopped on with the guys at Knicks Film School last night and was talking to them about it, and it's going to be interesting, like who the primary initiator is. And there's been some consternation because of Tom Thibodeau and how rigid he is and how many minutes he plays with guys. Mikal Bridges last night was talking on Tom Thibodeau's use of the Knicks starters. And this is a quote from Mikal. Sometimes it's not fun on the body. We've got a good enough team where our bench guys can come in. We don't need to play 48, 47. It helps just keeping fresh bodies out there. Look, Mikal Bridges is an Iron Man in the NBA. Like, he is a guy that just does not miss games, and both him and Josh Hart are capable of playing all 48. They're insane. They're complete and total lunatics. And they are not begrudgingly doing against their will most nights, but the wear and tear adds up when you're playing 40-plus minutes a night in an 82-game season, and so much is asked of you. And this has always been the Tibbs thing. He has 7, 8 guys that he trusts, and if he doesn't trust you, you just don't play. So everybody out there calling Chauncey Billups a terrorist for leaning on guys, no. But this is every coach in the NBA, except for Tibbs takes it to the extreme.
Right.
Like, when he doesn't trust you, there's no latitude. There's no, hey, does Delano Banton have it tonight? Hey, does Duop Reith have it tonight? Hey, does Jabari Walker have it tonight? Like, Chauncey gives those leash to those guys that they go out there and they've got it. You get the minutes. If you don't,
so how does a guy work his way into a lineup then?
You don't, and that's
that is a fatal flaw.
It is
of the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau and the way he's operated throughout the entirety of his career, whether it was in Chicago, Minnesota, or now in New York.
He does squeeze every last drop out of guys. which is why you see the Knicks have the run that they did last year, even though they get blown off their home court in New York by the Pacers in Game 7. You know what Knicks fans did? Standing ovation for the Knicks team. They're on pace. I was talking to the Knicks guys last night. They're on pace to have more wins than they've had since 1997.
Really?
That's how rough things have been for them.
Well, I mean, 97, they still, though, went to an Eastern Conference Finals with Carmelo Anthony in the 2000s.
Didn't have that many wins during the regular season.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, but it's going to be interesting to watch because in talking to the Knicks guys, and you know, they asked me who I thought was going to end up as like the primary ball handler defender, because we started talking about Toumani Camara, and I brought up that I very firmly believe that Toumani Camara is a top 10 defender in the NBA. Well, if Brunson was active, Toumani Camara was very likely going to get that assignment and try and be as disruptive as possible. But you've also got Josh Hart, who's kind of become a bit of a lead initiator. Mikal Bridges has become a bit of a lead. It's a collective, and they're learning how to play without Brunson, which in the long run could be good for them.
Right.
But in the meantime, the Knicks are coming in. Again, they opened the game as a 3.5-point favorite. That's not like when you talk about the Knicks and where they are and the goals that they have, and the Blazers and where they are, that was a bit of a surprise. It shows you just how much they rely on Brunson. Again, I firmly believe that outside of Nikola Jokic, Brunson is the single most important player to a team in the league.
That also explains why the line is close, is exactly what you said, in that if you don't know what any of those guys on the bench are truly capable of because they just don't get run, that changes things up significantly. I'm looking at it right now. They have 2, 4, 5 guys that average over 35 minutes a game.
Yes, they're starters.
Okay. If you go to 7, they have 7 guys over 20 minutes, 21, almost damn near 22 minutes, because Precious Achiuwa is at 21.9.
And the big part of that is Mitchell Robinson has missed most of the season. Now he's quasi back, but even they're treating him with bubble wrap.
Cam Payne, Mitchell Robinson, Landry Shamet, and Jericho Sims are all between 14 and 11 minutes.
And Jericho Sims is in Milwaukee now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a little
that's where
asterisk next to his name.
Huck Porty is now in that vein, and he gets the
Dang.
memorial minutes. But yeah, when you talk, and the thing is, like, you look at a guy like, you know, their offense,
8 guys under 9 minutes per game.
Yeah, it's just like, screw it, victory cigar. I guess these guys are done again.
And 3 of those guys have only played in 1, 4, and 1.
Again, you have 5 starters averaging 35 or more minutes. And that's
crazy.
This is the conundrum. And you know, you look at this and minutes dispersion. I harp on this all the time as it pertains to Chauncey Billups. He gives guys a lot more leeway than most head coaches in the NBA.
True that.
He is in the upper third of coaches that will give you enough rope to either run away with or to, preferably hang yourself in the sense of like, nope, sorry, buddy, you're back on the bench. And this is the complete opposite of that. I'm very interested to see tonight how the Blazers attack the Knicks without Jalen Brunson. Does Toumani Camara spend time on Josh Hart? Does Toumani Camara go on Mikal Bridges? Do they put him on OG Anunoby to try to use some size and length on him? And how much you see with Matisse coming back, does he end up getting that primary ball handler assignment so he can be more disruptive? And it's just the little things you can see as far as like how they're scheming things a little bit more down the final stretch of the season.
Sure. And that will be fun to see what happens with this team, because it does appear to an extent guys are, Jeremy Grant has been, when Denny is in, Jeremy is out. We've seen that trend, right? The one game that Jeremy Grant really came back and played heavy minutes in was the game that we did not see Denny Avdia in. Mm-hmm. Denny comes back. Jeremy has not played the last 2 games. As that happens, we're going to start seeing an ethical tank.
I think it might end up that way.
It feels like it right now.
You feel something in the air.
Yeah.
Because again, it's worth highlighting, the Portland Trailblazers are a half game ahead of the San Antonio Spurs and the Chicago Bulls for the 8th worst record in the NBA.
They can make up some ground over the next 3 days, too, with Blazers not playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And when they come back, they have the Raptors and Wizards.
Ooh,
you don't want to lose those games at home, but also, if you lose 2 games that you're supposed to win...
What do you mean you don't want to lose those games at home?
Well, I mean...
we know what we're doing right now.
I know, but it's the Raptors and Wizards, and that's going to be nasty stuff. It's
maybe they get hot.
Look, I'm speaking very selfishly.
Maybe they get
I will be in arena for those games, and that is
Oh, you want to see it.
the great suck off of 2025 could actually pick up.
Heck yeah.
So we're going to keep in the basketball world. College basketball conference tournaments are underway. Teams are not stamping their trips to March Madness quite yet, but they are finding their way up the bracket, and we could have some resolution to those conference tournaments and surprises. We'll get to that and more coming up here on Dan Nessie. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center Update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna Burger?
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers look to end a 4-game losing streak as they start a 7-game homestand tonight. They host the Knicks. 7 o'clock tip on KUNP 2.2 on your antenna or Xfinity Channel 302. DeAndre Ayton is out. Jeremy Grant is doubtful. Robert Williams III is questionable. And so is Matisse Thybulle, who reportedly will be in uniform for the first time this season. The Blazers are 4-point underdogs. The Seahawks signing Cowboys edge rusher DeMarcus Lawrence to a 3-year deal worth up to $42 million with $18 million guaranteed. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reporting those same Seahawks signing wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling to a 1-year deal worth up to $5.5 million. Pelissero also reporting the Commanders bringing back former Oregon quarterback Marcus Mariota on a 1-year, $8 million deal. More Pelissero, this time reporting the Rams have told wide receiver Cooper Kupp he'll be released today, freeing up $7.5 million in cap space. The Chargers are re-signing former Oregon linebacker Troy Dye to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal that could be worth as much as $8.5 million. 6-time Pro Bowl cornerback Darius Slay signing a 1-year deal with the Steelers worth $10 million. Broncos signing Jaguars tight end Evan Engram to a 2-year, $23 million deal. And shortly after being released by the 49ers, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave signing a 2-year, $30 million deal with the Vikings. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Selection weekend is vastly approaching with all of its glory. Conference tournaments are underway around the country. SEC, Big Ten, ACC, all of the big dogs currently squaring away. There's been some minor upsets. We had the travesty of officiating in the Pittsburgh Notre Dame game as we were getting off air yesterday, in which the game should have gone to overtime, and yet the phantomest of phantom fouls was called for Notre Dame on a last-ditch shot effort on a putback in which a player was actually touched, but nobody was complaining about a foul call because they were all like, all right, we're going to overtime.
Let's say no.
It was horrendous of epic proportions, but the basketball gods have righted that as North Carolina currently taking care of Notre Dame. Texas Vanderbilt, an SEC matchup of 12 and 13 seeds, has a little bit of weight in the sense of looking at how many teams from the SEC are projected to get in, which I believe is currently sitting at 12.
Nope. Joe Lunardi, as of 1:30, has his latest projection with 13 SEC teams.
So it's gone up.
And 13 SEC teams with Texas being one of the first 4 out.
Okay. They would have to, basically, you would have to win this game.
Yeah. They need to keep on keeping on. But they have 13, and the Big Ten's number has gone down because Nebraska, which was on the bubble somehow, some way, they didn't even make the conference tournament.
Oh, boy.
So they out. But it goes to show you, though, 23 of the 68 teams come from 2 conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC. And this was brought up last year with the Big 12 in the way that they went about scheduling their basketball season and scheduling the basketball games. In the whole net rating in net rankings, it's like you can manipulate it with your non-conference schedule, right? And it's basically ripping a page out of the SEC's football playbook and what they've done for decades, which is you make your non-conference for your elite teams. You will go out and you'll say, all right, a few of them they're going to go toe-to-toe with somebody and, playing like a kickoff classic a la Oregon, Georgia, right? They knew Georgia was ready and they were going to be good that year. You roll them in, you play them in high-profile games, right? The rest of them, you don't risk your middle and lower end of your conference to go and get walloped by somebody.
Go get exposed and
right?
drop you down early.
It's happening in college basketball too, but to the degree, I went and I looked this up just because I was interested in how the breakdowns would all go. And so I looked up all of the teams that Joe Lunardi, as of 1:30 today, either has in or on the bubble. And so for the SEC, it's 14 teams if you include Texas, who's in the first 4 out. Okay?
Yep.
And I broke them up into, your good teams, which are going to be your teams that are like on the 5 line or higher.
Yeah, that's your Florida, your Auburn, your Tennessee, Alabama.
And then I went and I said, all right, then we'll go to your middle of the pack and your bottom, right? If you don't think that there's some schedule manipulation going on, this is crazy.
This is about as telling a stat as you can find.
The SEC has 8 teams, 8 of them, that are and they're all between 7 and 11 seeds, okay? And then Texas, which is on the bubble and out, all right? Their average non-conference strength of schedule for those 8 teams is 193rd in the nation.
331 Division I schools?
The average of those middle of the pack to bubble teams, the lower end of the power conference seeds, 193rd. The Big Ten, which has got 5 teams that are a 6 seed or worse, their average non-conference strength of schedule is 79th. That is a massive difference.
That's basically the upper quarter.
Yeah. But when you look at it, why is the SEC going to get so many teams in? Well, they protected them. The SEC plays the game better than anybody else in scheduling in all of their power sports.
Vandy being a perfect example. They're 20-11 on the season, 8-10 in SEC play, and they're down, I think, 17. Maybe they might have hit 3, down 14. But you read off their non-con to me, and I was like, oof. You start early with Drake. And let me just tell you right now, if you're looking at a March Madness team, that if you're looking for a dark horse to be disruptive in the tournament of a team you're like, I don't really know about them, land on Drake.
Dude, they hired a Division II coach, and he was like, all right, I'll just bring my best players. And they just ran.
Bennett
through.
Sturtz is a dude. He like when you talk
Shout
about
out Small College Hoops.
Look, when you talk about guys that have the profile of the potential to be a guy that can blow up a tournament, he is that guy.
Yep.
He's also the coach's son.
Not bad.
Super valuable.
Not bad. But this isn't to say, though, that this is part of the game, too, is your really good teams, they got to go and win some games to give the rest of your conference prestige. This was the big talking point, right? How dominant the SEC was in non-conference play. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Alabama, really good. Right now, sitting on a 2 seed in Lenardi's bracket, had the 5th toughest non-conference schedule in all of college basketball. Auburn, a 1 seed in the tournament, the number 1 overall seed, had the 12th toughest non-conference schedule in all of college basketball. Texas A&M, which is on a 3 seed right now, played the 20th toughest non-conference schedule. Kentucky played the 48th. And look, 48 may not sound like a big number, but you mentioned it. 330 teams in college hoops, right? That is pretty dang good to be in the top 50. So they went out and they said, we know who's good. Go play tough teams. We're going to make sure that they go and they are going to throw themselves to the wolves, and they thrived in that, right? But the rest of the conference got so much love because they feasted on the weak.
A rising tide, if you will.
Yeah, everybody else feasted on the weak, and that's all anybody's talking about is, hey, the SEC was dominant in non-conference play. Look at some of their losses, though. Oregon beat A&M and Alabama early in the year.
And that A&M team physically beat the living crap out of Auburn last week.
And so their high-end teams are totally worth every single seed that they get.
Yep.
They 100% are.
Now, some of those other teams, maybe not.
And this is just to say, like, when you're filling out your bracket,
keep that in the back of your mind.
Keep that in the back of your mind when you say dominant SEC and how far so many teams are going to get going.
Tomorrow we'll talk about the Ducks as being one of the dark horses in the NCAA tournament. I talked to a buddy of mine who makes a living, a very good one, doing very complicated math for some sports books. And he told me that Oregon had 9 of 13 indicators, if I'm right, 9 of 13 indicators of a team that could be incredibly disruptive. They have all of the earmarks of a team because he has basically all of the data of the NCAA tournament back to 1943. It's like, dang, yeah, it's a lot. And it's like all these things that go into, look, those Vegas lines, man, they're informed. They're very informed. Yep. And he said, hey, man, you saw these guys play live. What was your takeaway from them? I was like, when I watch them against Rutgers, they look like a team that could be a problem. So we'll dive into that a little bit more tomorrow because there's quite a bit actually coming out about them. And if they can make the run in the tournament, it's going to be interesting to kind of see what comes out of that. But I talk about the rising of all times. How about how one Northwest employee found out that the coach of the Washington Huskies was going to be headed down to Alabama, all by the color of a tie? Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. I'll wrap up today's show. Got a fun little story out of the Seattle area and how a Nordstrom employee might have been the first person outside of the immediate DeBoer family to know that the Washington coach was heading to Alabama. DeBoer's wife got the text from Kaylin, hey, we're leaving for Alabama in 3 hours. So she was like, well, crap. I got to go to like the store and get you at least like a red tie so you can show up and, just in case we have it, because we don't own anything red because everything you own is purple and black and gold.
Yep.
So she gets to the mall and goes and grabs a couple of red ties. She says, I swung into Nordstrom. We didn't have anything red. I'm like, well, I'm going to try and get him a couple of red ties or something just so we're prepared. She went to the register to check out and didn't say a word. But when you check out at Nordstrom, you give your phone number if you're a longtime customer. And I'm sure that's probably what she had been done there dozens of times. I have a reeling suspicion it was probably the Bellevue location because that's where everybody with money in that area goes to shop.
Or she handed over her credit card with her name on it.
Well, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
But you see that in what's perfect about this is that whoever it was recognized the last name or knew who she was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing she probably has somebody she shops with or checks out with that, knows who she is. She's
No
at
doubt
that
about
level in that region.
A lot of personal shoppers in that orbit.
Absolutely. The first line that came from the person checking out was, these are not purple. Her response, they are not. The first checking it out, these are red. Well, it's crimson red, actually. Once realizing that they were leaving for Washington, the cashier had one more thing to say. Thank you for everything you guys did, and best of luck.
Imagine that guy's just like, group chat immediately, just like, it's done. Sorry, boys. It's over now.
This reminds me to all of the pictures that leaked from the coffee meeting between Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka of like, now like that conversation. You're like, that guy wearing the Mamba t-shirt.
Oh, wait a minute.
My. Imagine if you were a Mavs fan and you were working in that Starbucks and you were like, why is Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison, why are they talking? What's going on here? Like, they going to trade Dwight Powell?
I think the last thing that you were thinking was we're getting Luka. They're going to trade Luka Doncic to LA. That would be the last thing.
I don't even think it would cross your mind.
Now, if you brought up the cups of coffee and you hear, so Luka for AD, I'd be like, pour my coffee on him. We're not doing this.
No,
I'm taking
Nico
McDonald's.
Harrison would leave scarred.
You're damn right he would be.
Or if you had some allergy, be like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I gave you the wrong one. Let me go ahead and swap this out.
Damn, you're going to kill him?
I'm going to make him sick. Give him the bubble guts.
Just a little bit of Visine in that beverage.
A little something.
Man.
But yeah, no, these kind of stories, they happen pretty frequently, by the way. Like this Nordstrom story of like, you don't realize it or you don't know, or, somebody hears and it becomes it ends up leaking out eventually of like, we knew, we saw this, that, or the other. And, it's cool that this person handled it this way.
No doubt about it. Like, he was just like, thank you. Goodbye. I'll miss you. Remember me.
Hopefully whoever's the new head coach's wife also has the same taste.
I bet Jed Fish's wife shops at Nordstrom too. Like he's more of a Tommy Bahama type guy, but
I think also available at Nordstrom
or Big Dogs. Not. Could you see Jed Fish with who runs with the big dogs? Jed Fish does.
Do you think they sell many visors at Nordstrom?
No, but they do at Big Dog.
Yeah. Just saying. Can't run with the big dogs. Get off the porch.
Dude, Big Dog was awesome. My dad used to have Big Dog shorts.
When we moved to our house in Newburgh, my parents had a couple bags of stuff from when I was a kid. I found some Big Dog t-shirts in there. I also found the Big Johnson.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
Your dad would wear Big Johnson gear?
Gotta remember, my dad was a slalom skier. Like that's where that stuff came from. So it was the water skiing, like jet boat community in Southern California.
Man,
that's where that stuff all came from.
It was like Big Johnson's sports bar, liquor in the front, poker in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, remember that one?
Yep.
Yep. That wow.
Yeah.
You know what? The dots are starting to be connected a little bit.
Look,
you know,
we were pretty trashy. I mean, look, I literally grew up in a trailer park. Like,
yeah, Big Johnson shirts were something else. I'd always go to the seaside where you go and you look and you're like, whoa, look at those shirts.
Oh, yeah.
And then your mom's like, get out of here.
Yeah. No.
Get your butt around.
There are a couple of Big Johnsons, a couple of Big Dogs.
Yeah. You were like, my dad has that one and that one and that one.
One of the Big Dog ones I remember was when it went to like the,
Dude, that's rad.
It changed to the OG Big Dog where he had like the backwards hat. Do you remember that? It was like the whole right side of the shirt was him with like one overall unstrapped with
like
a backwards hat.
Santa Tiger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Tiger when Tiger wears his hat backwards and he's walking into to the golf course.
It's
yeah.
like, oh,
this is different.
This is different.
This is different. Oh man, that's great. All right, that does it for us on this Wednesday. We will be back tomorrow,
Mañana,
noon to 3. It's Thursday.
It is.
Up next, you got 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. It's prime time with Isaac and Souk. Have a great Wednesday, everybody.
Bye.
Jen has ordered a decadent seafood tower, king crab legs, lobster tails, and a waterfall of caviar. Pricey? You bet. But Jen worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy and planned for splurges like these. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Ooh, champagne. Empower.